Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Next up in my Steam list of games to review is Aragami, which is a third-person stealth action game, and you play this shadowy figure who is summoned by a girl to help her, well, take revenge on a whole lot of bad guys. I could not care less about the story of this game. Really, it did not give me an incentive to do what the game was asking of me. I didn't care about finding talismans or anything for this girl, so I don't think the story was very interesting. The game sports a very attractive Japanese manga-style, comic book-style graphics. It's very distinct, but it's not very detailed. Japanese voices do add to the atmosphere overall. I think that English voices would not have fit the game, so that's a good thing. Gameplay consists of avoiding light sources, but because, well, you are a shadow, and make your way through levels, either avoiding or killing patrolling guards. The levels are pretty forgettable, semi-open with Japanese-inspired structures, but nothing here that stood out. If you'd asked me, what level did you really like? Well, I could not really tell you. Further on in the game, levels become larger and more crowded with guards, but not more interesting, unfortunately. You can unlock a bunch of powers that allow you to pass, for instance, through closed gates, warp yourself from one place to the next, killing enemies while jumping down, becoming invisible for a short time, etc. So there's a nice selection of powers that do work. Obviously, this is inspired by a game called Dishonored, and I know it is not fair to compare Dishonored with Aragami, but I have to say that Aragami cannot hold the candle to Dishonored. Now, movement in Aragami feels restrictive. You cannot jump or climb. Also, it feels sluggish, like walking around in a puddle of mud all the time. When I think about a ninja, I think about a light-footed, swift character, but in Aragami you are not. The slower pace is obviously needed to create a stealth-like atmosphere, and I understand that, and it wouldn't be such of a problem if the powers that the game gives you leave room for flexibility. Unfortunately, execution of these powers usually feels imprecise and restrictive. For instance, as I said, you can warp yourself from one location to the next, but not all locations you can warp to. And I was trying to figure out if I could warp myself to a certain location or not, and sometimes you just sort of misjump because you have not exactly hit the spot on the rooftop where you could warp to. So it takes a lot of time to execute the warp power in this case, and I did not find that very flexible. Patrolling guards, of which there are only a few variants, follow standard routines, making the whole thing feel very formalistic. Guards tend to forget about the dead bodies laying spread across the map. Executions are somewhat awkward when the enemy sort of stiffens up all of a sudden and a fairly slow kill animation kicks in. It's fun for a while, but it sort of gets repetitive really quick because it's just so slow. Once enemies spot you, they will usually kill you with just one hit, and that feels really cheap. It's not to say that this is a bad game, though. Though sluggish, the stealth does work with some fiddling around, and there's some fun to be had, especially in co-op. I mean, every game in co-op is more fun than playing alone, of course. And if you are a fan of the stealth genre, this is probably something you want to check out. But for me, I just felt like I was playing a rat in a maze without a real good incentive to keep me going. Again, it's not a bad game. It is mediocre in my opinion. And if this was released a bunch of years ago, then I think I would have been more lenient towards it. But since we have Dishonored, I mean, that's pretty much the ultimate stealth game in my opinion. So let me know what you think of Aragami. Have you played it? Have you not? Are you gonna pick it up? Let me know in the comment section below, and see you in the next video.